What's up, LV viewers, and today I'm going to be talking about Overwatch. That's right, Blizzard's futuristic team-based shooter is on board for today. I wonder if the video's title and thumbnail gave it away, actually. This has been one of my favorite games for a while now, so covering it on here at some point was inevitable. I just passed level 500 recently, so hopefully that adds credibility or something to my words at least. I don't know, just cue the intro already. I feel that the selling points and highlights of Overwatch rest a lot in the character roster, so that's where we'll start this journey. Rather than classes, we have actual characters, all with backstories, motivations, and lives they each lead. We got Master Chief from Halo, Hawkeye, Wally, Finn from Star Wars, Mother Russia, a monkey, a goddamn hamster, and much more. With over 30 playable heroes, players are able to pick which characters fit their playstyle the best. Each hero is placed in the one of three roles: damage, tank, and support. The names are pretty self-explanatory. Once in a game, you'll be paired with 5 other players to function as a team. 6 players versus 6 others. Now that may sound a bit small when compared to other shooters that allow for far more than just 12 players in a single match. But you'd be wrong. You'd be very wrong. Even with only 2 teams of 6 players, each game is just straight up anarchy. And this is thanks to the sheer variety of abilities and weapons employed by each hero. You got your standard guns, but you also have stuff like rocket launchers, Gatling guns, swords, bombs, freeze rays, giant hammers, arrows, balls, and... well, you get the point, there's a lot. My personal favorites / mains are as follows: Zenyatta, a robot monk who uses the aforementioned balls from earlier; Reaper, a costumed freak who dishes out
a lot of damage
with dual shotguns; Moira, a diabolical mad scientist who also fights with balls; Ashe, a criminal cowgirl with a whole lot of sass; and Sigma, an astrophysicist who also fights with balls. I think I have a problem. I think I have a problem. Every so often, the game updates with additional characters to play as and maps to duke it out on. And the maps are all very unique, to be honest. Most locations are inspired by real-life areas such as Paris, Rialto, and Dorado. But then you have the developers, being Blizzard in this case, make a map that's basically one fat advertisement for their other games. What the heck is this? No, I'm just kidding. No hate for Blizzard World, it's one of my favorites. So are Horizon Lunar Colony, an intergalactic province stationed on the moon, Junkertown, an apocalyptic wasteland based in Australia, and Nimbani, an African city sporting a whole lot of technology in its culture. The maps are probably just as diverse as the characters, so much variation in who to play and where to play. But of course you don't have complete free will, Blizzard, you savages. When loading into a game, you have no way to influence what map will be selected for you to frolic around in. You also gotta be fast and make sure you select your desired character, as in the majority of modes there can only be one of that specific character per team. Thankfully, some of the more serious game modes allow you to at least select your role, but boy am I glad I play support better than damage. The only drawback is that you're forced to stay that role for the duration of the game you load into. You can't just switch on the fly, unfortunately. But it makes sense. But all of the heroes are at least fun in their own right, in my opinion. No one hero is universally hated by all or anything like that. I can play pretty much any of them and still have a good time, except maybe Widowmaker and Hanzo. Might as well describe the current ones I haven't already while we got the time. We got Ana, an Egyptian grandmother who snipes medicine into allies; Batiste, a combat medic gone rogue from the evil side of the war; Bastion, a robot called an Omnic who can transform into a minigun and a tank; Brigida, a Swedish squire who heals others while fighting in the front lines; Diva, an elite Korean gamer who flies in a mech; Doomfist, a Nigerian idealist who likes punching people a whole lot; Echo, a robot with advanced AI who can also fly; Genji, a Japanese cyborg ninja who is just really cool; Hanzo, brother of Genji who equips a bow and arrow; Junkrat, an Australian maniac who just loves to blow things up; Lucio, a DJ who likes to boop people; McCree, a cowboy who is way too good with a pistol; Mei, a Chinese climatologist that is basically Mr. Freeze; Mercy, a Swiss doctor who is pretty much an angel, let's be honest; Orisa, an African robot built by a young child; Farah, an Egyptian soldier who patrols the skies; Reinhardt, a German knight still full of tons of energy; Roadhog, a silent but deadly killer with a massive hook; Soldier 76, current vigilante and former leader of the Overwatch organization; Sombra, a Mexican hacker who also likes to boop things, Symmetra, an Indian architect who constructs small turrets, Torbjorn, a Swedish engineer who also doubles as a dwarf, Tracer, the poster girl of the game who blinks around and warps time, Widowmaker, a French assassin with a sniper rifle, Winston, a mad monkey lad who is good with science, Wrecking Ball, a hamster with brains and a gigantic ball, and Zarya, a Russian warrior with big muscles. See, that's what I call diversity. There's also barely any overlap. Each hero brings something new to the battlefield in terms of their abilities. Each character has around 3 special abilities to accompany their main weapon, but every hero has an additional ability of even greater power. What I'm referring to are the ultimate abilities of each character, godly displays of destruction and support that can make any skilled player a true force to be reckoned with. Ultimates can truly turn the tides of any game, yet in order to use them, they have to charge up what takes a bit of time. You also have to charge it all the way back up after deploying it, but an issue that I encounter far too commonly is that you die almost immediately after an ultimate's activation, meaning you'll lose 100% of the charge. Now some are fine with this, but it's still super frustrating in my opinion for some cases. Overwatch's core gameplay is pretty simple upon breaking it down. It's a first-person shooter where each round is objective-based. The first mode is Assault. One team defends, the other offends. The attacking team has the job of capturing 2 points on the map. If they do this, they win and receive a victory. However, if the opposite happens and the defense is just too strong to get past, the defending team wins. I personally like being on attack more, but defense is also plenty fun. Moving along, we have the control game mode. This takes the concept of needing to capture a point on the map, but switches it up with only having a single point that both teams compete for. First team to capture the point all the way reigns supreme. Next up is Escort, which also uses one team for offense and another for defense. The only difference is that the attacking team doesn't capture control points, but instead pushes a cart across the length of the map. Basically escort a vehicle from point A to point B. Ending off the main modes is Hybrid, a mode that combines principles from both control and escort. The attacking team needs to capture a point and then escort a payload to the map's end. In short, it's just a combination of the 2 modes like the name implies, because screw originality, am I right? But as I've been saying, these 4 types of matches make up the quote-unquote serious modes of Overwatch, being quick play and competitive play. Quick play is participating in these modes with low-stress, swift battles. It's essentially for when you want to play without any real consequences. On the other end of the spectrum is competitive play, easily the most stressful mode in the entire game. Matches typically last longer and work best when each player wants to give it their all and provide serious inputs. Unlike quick play, winning and losing have much more of an impact in the end for competitive. Every Overwatch player has ranks that show and reflect their skills. These ranks are split into tiers. The higher the rank, the better of a player the game considers you as. And can you guess where I belong? Winning a match boosts your skill, while losing drops it. Winning also nabs you some competitive points, or CP for short, which is basically the currency to buy golden weapons for your favorite characters. They don't impact the gameplay much, but they are pretty sweet. At the moment, I personally have Zenyatta's golden orbs and Reaper's golden shotguns. Those accomplishments are definitely going on my resume. Now, like I said earlier, Overwatch is a chaotic game, but is it balanced? Well, heck if I know, I'm not really that good of a judge on this type of thing. Of course, with this type of question, you could argue both ways. However, I personally wouldn't call anything wildly overpowered or underpowered in that sense. Everything feels somewhat balanced, you know? With something a little too strong or too weak slipping by the devs on occasion. Thankfully, Blizzard consistently rolls out patches and attempt to create a true balance between all of the characters, but that's customary with every shooter in the genre. For the most part, heroes feel great to play as, maps feel great to play on. Nothing really feels out of place. The core gameplay of Overwatch is phenomenal. It's the one reason I always find my way back to this game. If the game felt like I was playing trash, I wouldn't have put in over 300 hours. Oh my god, I need a life. Jumping on over to the arcade tab brings us to separate, more casual-based modes of play. These usually break away from the core mechanics of the normal game in some capacity. There's a fair few of these arcade modes, so let's rapid-fire them. Deathmatch, a free-for-all game mode where the goal is to see which player can get to 20 kills before the others in a game of 8. Team Deathmatch, groups of 4 battle it out to see which team can collectively earn 30 eliminations together. Capture the Flag, 2 teams of 6 trying to seek out each other's flags while keeping their own heavily guarded. Mystery Heroes, basically the normal Overwatch only without the ability to select your own character. Who you get is random, and if you get Widowmaker, don't throw a fit. Elimination. 2 teams go against each other in segmented rounds to see who can get to 3 wins first. The maps here are unique to this mode and way smaller, which is something worth noting. Total mayhem. Heroes have twice as much health and can use their abilities more frequently, and no limits, a mode without restrictions on who you can play, even if someone else is already your desired character, and boy am I glad there's restrictions in quick play. I mean, does this look okay? There's a few more, but those are usually the ones I see most often. The arcade shuffles these game modes around, even with some slight variations. For example, you have Capture the Flag Blitz, a mode that's capture the flag at heart, but the flags are closer together and matches are generally much faster in their pacing. These are all pretty fun, they act as nice breaks from quick and competitive play that really aren't too demanding. Well, I'm sure someone would just hate me if I skipped over the game browser, so might as well do that. Diving into the browser shows us the servers that have been created by other players. With the Overwatch Custom Game Maker and Workshop, players can modify the rules of the game to their liking and unveil their masterpiece to the world. You can basically create your own game modes to an extent. There's been some crazy stuff out in the wild. I've personally only dabbled in this a tiny bit with some minor experimentation. It's more of something for those who have an immense amount of coding and programming knowledge, or at least understand the basics. Which is weird because I do have some of that, I don't know. I just never got too invested in the custom game creation side of Overwatch. But it is really cool seeing what the community is able to pump out. Like, what the fudge is this? There's also various forms of training you can participate in. Whether that means heading over to the training range or setting up your own game with bots, you can prepare yourself for the absolute madness this game brings, or you could die in the process, whatever comes first. I mean, if we're being technical, Overwatch doesn't have a story in itself. There's not really a campaign or canon story the game orbits around. But in the background, Overwatch has a very, very deep story in place. While it's always being developed and expanded upon further with the introductions of characters and key points in the timeline, here's a brief overview. Decades into the future, robots rise up and wage war on humanity. An elite organization is formed to combat these assaults, with the group being called, well, that. The good guys end up winning the war, but are ultimately shut down due to the public's controversial outlook on them. Years later, they decide to bring the band back together once more to restore order in a chaotic world of terrorism and villainy. Now, that's not even scratching the surface. Plenty of animated shorts and comics exist to bring these fictional characters to life, and oh my god, they are so good. Like, if Blizzard decided to make an Overwatch movie, I'm pretty sure it would be the coolest thing. They are excellent storytellers, as their past work indicates, like Diablo 3 for instance. They are always been master plot makers. But Overwatch is something greater. There's dozens of layers to it, and it's so cool seeing it unfold. I'm not an expert in it or anything. Breaking down the Overwatch lore is probably someone's college major out there. There's a gigantic amount to unpack. Just please, Blizzard, give my boys and Yana some more love, please. Okay, thank you. The devs definitely play a bit of favorites, but everyone has a place in the grand story, which is super neat. Like I said, I don't have the greatest understanding of it, so we should probably move on before the video cuts me off. Ah, god damn it. So Overwatch is a great package, with all things considered, but where is the extra commercialism? Where is the catchy microtransactions? Oh, there they are. Like a lot of games in the genre, Overwatch is infested with loot boxes, virtual presents that have a random selection of goodies inside. Loot boxes are fairly controversial to be honest, but I've always been fine with them. Sometimes. In the conclusion of every online match, players are awarded with experience points based on how well they fared in the game. Getting enough EXP causes a player to level up and gives them a loot box. You could also get boxes through wins in the arcade game modes, or sometimes just by filling specific roles. They're definitely the main incentive to keep players interested in playing more. But do they hold up? The awards from loot boxes here are purely cosmetic, as in they don't affect the core gameplay. These unlockables include extra voice lines, sprays to leave your mark on the map, poses your character can strike when winning a game, emotes you can perform, intro clips for your highlights, and, most notorious, skins. There are 4 tiers of unlockables based on how hard they are to obtain: common, rare, epic, and legendary. Enough talk, let's crack open one of the boxes. Yeah, when you've been a player for as long as I have, you will primarily only get duplicates of items you already have. When you get duplicates, you're given a small amount of coins. You could use coins to bypass the lottery system entirely and just buy specifically what you want for your characters. It is nice to get all the new collectibles once they're added in place of duplicates, but it just makes me just not care about loot boxes outside of when events are occurring. Don't get me wrong, Overwatch has hundreds of collectibles as items for you to hunt for. It's taken me a long time to get all I have, and new items are added on a consistent basis. This is more of a personal problem than anything, because of course I'm always like, God, I just really want that same voice line I've gotten 6 times before. So I've mentioned events a few times now, what are those about? Well, every so often, Blizzard launches something called a seasonal event that's always themed. You have the Summer Games event with the exclusive game mode Lucio Ball, basically the closest thing to soccer you'll probably ever get in a shooting game. Hit the ball with your weapon and score the most points, simple. Halloween Terror is the most frightful time of Overwatch's year, and it comes around every October. The exclusive brawl here is Junkenstein's Revenge, a mode where you team up with others to halt an army of advancing robots and take on some very spoopy bosses. Winter Wonderland, home to 2 unique modes, Maze Snowball Offensive and Yeti Hunter. In both you play in a team of Maze and have to either hit others with snowballs or hunt a Yeti, who is definitely a mad lad. Chinese New Year follows, with the Capture the Flag game mode being front and center. The mode actually originated for the first time in this event's first year, which is neat. The Archives event is next and actually brings some sort of story missions into the mix. Here you have multiple objectives you have to check off with 3 other players against waves of computer-controlled enemies. These add to the lore I touched upon earlier, letting you play certain moments in the timeline. Do I have to even say how cool this is? It just sucks that these modes are only available for about 3 weeks a year. And last but certainly not least, Overwatch's anniversary event, celebrating the passing of every new year the game has been on the market for. This event also allows purchases of items from past seasons as well, along with letting you play with the other game modes. Overall, I love every time a new event pops onto the servers. But after like 2 years, all Blizzard would do is just add cosmetics and nothing else, which is kind of a bummer. But within the 3-week window of events, you're able to collect all of these new cosmetics and they are fantastic. The most eyed new items are always skins, however. Overwatch either nails these 100% or pull a lightning tracer and screw up hard. Certain maps around these times of year also have new looks that better suit the event. Examples of this are snowy climates during winter and Chinese decorations showing up within the New Year event. And that's basically it for all of the additional content the game gets. Every year we get events, new heroes, and new maps. Every now and then we receive some minor stuff like the endorsement system, general balancing updates, feature of the record here on the highlights, etc. Good stuff, Blizzard, keep it up. So that was Overwatch, and if it wasn't obvious, despite me saying earlier, I love this game. I can't wait to see it evolve and keep growing. The community definitely has a strong toxic side, filled to the brim with negativity, but I personally haven't encountered much of it. It seems Blizzard has a decent level of control on the game, but with the game's sequel, the upcoming Overwatch 2, will they be able to keep their fans and welcome new ones? Will they be able to construct another great, fun, team-based shooter game? Only the future knows, and I, for one, am excited to see where Overwatch goes for the future years to come.